Hello students, this video is for class 12 science. In this video I'll continue with the chapter sexual reproduction in flowering plants. With that chapter I'll continue. So in this video I will generally encompasses there are few parts of the chapter. So let's not waste the time and let's get started with the chapter explanation. Now we will be going to the outbreeding devices. Okay. Now what is this outbreeding devices? In order to restrict the self-pollination, any of the male or the female part, any one of them is being cut from a bisexual flower so that the cross-pollination can take place. Okay. Now the first one is that dichogamy. Okay. Now what is this word dichogamy means? What happens in case of bisexual flower, anthers and stigma mature at different times, so that self-pollination is inhibited. Suppose if the anther will be maturing first, then the stamens are not mature. That means the pollen grains cannot mature the female part, that is the gynoecium. And in the protogyny, what happens that the female part, that is the gynoecium, is getting matured first, whereas the anther or the stamen is not getting matured first. So there is no pollen grain to fertilize it. Understood? Next is that the unisexuality or declining. What happens over here? Flowers are unisexual. That means maize, castor, okay, they are unisexual flower. And what happens over here that as they are unisexual, so the other, that is a male flower, will fertilize the female flower of the same plant or of the different plant. Understood? So it is called unisexuality or declining. Now next is that self-sterility. That means it is sterile. Okay, it is not fertile. So what happens? Pollen grains of one flower are incapable, that means not capable of growing over the stigma of the same flower due to the presence of some sterile genes. Okay, that means the same flower pollen grains cannot germinate into the same stigma due to the presence of some sterile factors or sterile genes. Okay, examples: potato, tobacco. So these are the examples. Next is hercogamy. What happens over here? That there is some physical barrier between the stigma and the anthers. Okay, that means between the male and the female there are some physical barrier, and due to which the fertilization cannot take place. You can see the position of the stigma and the position of the anther. It is so much away from the anther that there are some physical barrier also, and due to which the fertilization cannot take place. Understood? Next is that heteromorphism. Heteromorphism means either the stigma, that means the length of the androecium and gynoecium. Okay, over here you see the gynoecium is short in length, whereas the androeciums are very much longer. So it is not possible for the pollen grains to come and germinate into over here. Over here you see that the gynoecium is so long, but the androecium are very small. Okay, so it is not possible for the pollen grains to jump up into it and then fertilize it. Next over here you see there are so many difference in length of the androecium and gynoecium, thus affecting the germination of the pollen grains into the female reproductive part. Got it? So this is heteromorphism. That means morphologically they are different, and thus it is affecting the fertilization rate or the fertilization process of the species. Now this is the structure of a dicot seed or dicotyledonous seed, having two cotyledons. As you can see, two cotyledons it is having. Okay, and the seed is always protected by a seed coat. Okay, Now the seed coat is having two parts. The outer part is called the testa, that means the outer covering is called testa, and the inner covering or the inner membrane of the seed coat is called tegmen. So it is having two layers called testa. Outer one is called testa and the inner one is called tegmen. Okay. Apart from this cotyledon and testa and tegmen, what are it's having? First of all, it is having the plumule and radicle. Now plumule is what? Plumule is the one that will give rise to the shoot system. Okay. And radicle is what? Radicle is the one that will give rise to the root system. Okay. That means plumule along with the leaves, it will give rise to the leaves and shoot system. And this hypocotyle will give rise to the stems. Okay, that means this hypocotyle is present between plumule and radicle. Okay, and next is that epicotyle. Epicotyle will grow along with the plumule. Understood? Now we will go to the morphology or the structure of true and false fruit. First of all, what is true fruit? The true fruit is the one in which only the ovary is being transformed to form the fruit. And what is this false fruit? False fruit means that along with the ovary, there are some other floral parts which will take part in the formation of the fruit. Like in case of apple, thalamus is the one that will be converted into the fruit. Now we were going to the true fruit. So in the mango. Now the fruit is having the seed at the innermost part. The seed is having seed coat. I have told you that testa and tegmen. Outer the seed coat, that means surrounding the seed coat, the fruit is termed as the pericarp. Now this pericarp has three parts. What are the three parts? Epicarp, mesocarp and endocarp. Now what is this epicarp? This epicarp is the outer lining. This outer lining of the fruit is termed as the epicarp. Now what is this mesocarp? The mesocarp is nothing but the fleshy part. This fleshy part of the fruit that we actually eat. Next is that endocarp. Endocarp is what? That is the outer lining of the seed. That means outer lining of the seed coat is termed as the endocarp. This is all about the true fruit. Now we are going to the false fruit. See the pericarp. Pericarp is that outer portion of the seed. That means this portion is termed as the pericarp. Why it is not the fleshy part or the entire fruit part? Because the fruit over here is nothing but the thalamus. Okay. So outer portion of the seed is actually covered by this pericarp. Okay. Now this fleshy part is nothing but the thalamus of the flower. And this lower portion, this portion of the apple is nothing but the portion of the calyx of the flower. So this was all about the structure of the true fruit and false fruit. So our next topic is apomixis. What is this apomixis? Apomixis, it is an alternative process of sexual reproduction. But over here, the fusion of the sperm and the ovum is not taking place. Okay, that means it is an alternative of the sexual reproduction but without any nuclear fusion. Okay, so over here what happens, it produces the young ones or the offspring by the process of the asexual method. Okay, that means without the nuclear fusion process, by the process of asexual method. Now the apomixis is mainly of two types, generally two categories it is having. One is agamospermy, another one is vegetative reproduction. Vegetative reproduction, you know that it is growing from the vegetative parts. Okay. Now agamospermy is what? In this process, fertilization and meiosis is not taking place. Okay. It is the embryo or the zygote is forming without the process of the meiosis or fertilization, but directly from the egg cell. So let's see the types of apomixis. So the apomixis is generally of three types. First one is the recurrent. Number two is non-recurrent. Number three is addentive embryonic. Now we will go for the first one, that is the recurrent one. What is happening over here? In this case, from the 2n egg cell, okay, this is the 2n egg cell. What happens? A diploid embryo is being formed directly. That means from the diploid egg cell. See, generally the egg cell is not diploid in nature, but over here it is diploid. Why? Because the meiosis is not taking place. So from the diploid egg cell directly the embryo is being formed, which is again of diploid. Understood my point? Next is that non-recurrent. Over here what happens? A haploid embryo sac is produced due to normal meiotic division of the megaspore mother cell. That means the mother cell is megaspore, that is 2n, but over here meiosis is being taking place. Okay, and as a result an haploid embryo sac is being produced. This is non-recurrent. Next is that addentive embryonic. What is happening over here? From a diploid cell of nucellus or integument. Acha. From what is this addentive embryonic? That not from the diploid egg cell, but from the diploid any other cell except the egg. That means it can be nucellus, it can be integuments of the ovary, but that has to be diploid. Okay, from diploid any other cell except the egg cell, the embryo is being formed. That is why it is called addentive embryonic. And in non-recurrent, what we are seeing that from the diploid embryo sac, from a diploid megaspore mother cell, okay, megaspore mother cell, which is also not at all an egg cell, okay, megaspore mother cell giving rise to an haploid embryo sac. Got my point? Now, in the next part, recurrent is again of two types. What are they? First one is that diplospory. Diplospory. What is this? In this case, what happened? The diploid embryo is formed from the diploid mother cell. Okay, that means the egg cell. From the egg cell, the embryo will be formed. Next is that another type is apospory. What is happening over here? The embryo is formed from the nucellus. Not from the egg cell, but from the nucellus. Got it? Next is the types of the non-recurrent. Two types. It is haploid parthenogenesis and the second one is haploid apogamy. Okay, so first of all, haploid parthenogenesis. So in case of haploid parthenogenesis, what is happening? That the embryo develops from the haploid egg cell. Okay, that means N directly develops from the haploid egg cell. So the development of the gametophyte directly from the sporophyte. And what happens? The gametophyte remains diploid and it survives. Okay. Next is that haploid apogamy. What happens in case of this? What happens? The haploid sporophyte, after the produced from the haploid gametes, generally do not survive. Okay, so these are the types of the apomixis. So parthenogenesis is what? Is a special type of reproduction in which the egg directly develops into a new organism without any fusion of the gametes. Okay, egg directly produces organism. Now it is of two types, haploid and diploid. Haploid, it is what happens, the egg and the embryo sac is generally haploid in nature, and from this haploid egg, what happens, haploid organisms are being formed, which generally do not survive in case of higher plants, but in case of lower plants, haploid organisms do survive. And in case of diploid, what happens, the egg or the embryo sac is generally diploid in nature, and thus it will produce diploid organisms which will obviously survive in the environment. Next is our topic is about parthenocarpy. Same, just like parthenogenesis, it is parthenocarpy seen in plants, parthenogenesis seen in animals generally. Parthenocarpy is what? That the formation of the seedless fruits. That means formation of the fruits without any fertilization. Okay. Now the parthenocarpy is generally of three types. Number one, genetic. Number two, environmental. Number three, chemically induced. Okay. So first of all, genetic. What happens over here? Due to some genetic changes, due to mutation or hybridization, this parthenocarpy takes place. Examples, pineapple, banana. Environmental parthenocarpy means what? Due to environmental pressure, there are some changes. Okay. Due to low of temperature, also due to frost and fog. So what happens? There are some changes, and this is termed as the environmental parthenocarpy. Example are olives, tomato. Next is chemically induced. That means we are inducing some chemicals in order to get the parthenocarpy. So what are the chemicals we generally use? We use auxin, gibberellin. Okay. So example is strawberry. Next topic is that polyembryony. Poly means many. Embryony means embryo. So formation of more than one embryo in a single ovule, okay, is termed as the polyembryony. Example is pinus. So there are two types of polyembryony. One is true polyembryony and the second one is false polyembryony. So what happens in case of true polyembryony? In case of true, in one embryo sac, there are many embryos are being formed. But in case of false polyembryony, there are so many embryo sac in the ovule, okay, and in each embryo sac there are many more embryos forming. So this is the true and the false polyembryony. Next we will go for the causes of the polyembryony. So first cause is that due to the cleavage formation, okay, that is noted in several plants in the embryo. Due to the cleavage formation in the embryo, many embryos are formed. Next is that the formation of many embryos from the other cells like integuments of the embryo sac or nucellus tissue. Except the egg, there are other cells also, and from those cells embryos are being formed. Next is that due to, as there are many embryo sac, so many embryo sac will be producing many embryos. So these are the basic reasons for the polyembryony. So I hope you have understood the chapter clearly. If you are having any problem, then do let me know. Thank you.